So it's my first week of classes, and so there's a lot of exciting things going on there that I could talk about, but I'm not really interested in talking about that. What I would rather talk about is a whole bunch of media that I consumed over spring break. One Punch Man, I watched all of that. One Punch Man is a show that gleefully engages in kind of all the anime tropes that you would expect out of like a big, obnoxious anime, and it parodies them like lovingly. If those aren't aware, the conceit is that it's about like a superhero who has the power to destroy any enemy in one punch because that's just how powerful he is. The most interesting thing to me about the show is that it works so much as an anthology series as opposed to any kind of like linear thing. As much as it definitely has a specific linear storyline that it travels across, each episode kind of explores its own thematic idea, and they're all kind of distinct from each other. So the first time that you are introduced to the world and the character, the first episode, it's all about ennui and about the boredom that this character feels in no longer being able to have a significant challenge to him. And that's never really brought up again over the course of the series. So that's the frame that they lay, but they never really return there. Because the first episode is about ennui, but every other episode is about something else. So it uses its one conceit to explore a bunch of different ideas, which I think is really interesting. And like most anthology series, it tend to be kind of hit and miss, but when it hits, it really hits. Like, I love everything about Moomin Rider. Everything Moomin Rider is involved in, A+. Ocarina of Time, I finished that, and I hate it. Hate is maybe an exaggeratory term, born out of the tendency for that game to get placed in so many best of the year, or of the decade, or of all time lists, rather than any kind of like fundamental like badness in the game, although I don't think it's a good game. I think it's pretty bad. I think Ocarina is poorly paced. I think it has a tendency to present the player with not all the information that they need and then call that a puzzle. I think it has a tendency to punish players for things that the players didn't do wrong, like things that aren't your fault will hurt you all the time. And I just don't think the world is that interestingly realized. I'm sorry, Ocarina fans. It's a high fantasy world. What's so magically special about this one as compared to the others? But I think that Ocarina is more interesting for its place in the cultural lexicon than for the game itself. Like the way it bridges the ostensibly casual-leaning Nintendo with the ostensibly hardcore player base of the Legend of Zelda franchise, whatever that means, which so like rigidly attached onto this game. Or how icons like an ocarina or Epona or having a master sword signifies entrance into some kind of like nerd category that I think parallels in a lot of ways a lot of other fandoms like Doctor Who or My Neighbor Totoro, where it signifies the in-group with kind of a popular quasi-niche idea of what a nerd is, even though Ocarina of Time ostensibly has a much higher bar of entry of difficulty in order to get there than any of those other franchises. And what does that mean? I do want to learn to play that at some point. The Wrinkle in Time series, I'm not totally done with the last book yet, but I want to fit it into this video anyway, so I'm talking about it now. Wrinkle in Time, the book, I have a lot to say about, but Wrinkle in Time, like the Time Quintet, the franchise, is actually interesting in its own right for a whole other set of reasons. The first three are noteworthy because they're dealing with very much ideas of like 1950s conservatism and anti-individualism, but they're coming at it through like the early 60s through the 70s, where they've still very much got that 50s hangover. And you can still see a lot of that 50s groupthink cropping up in the books, even when they're trying to get away from it, which is really interesting. Fourth and fifth one are interesting in that how dramatically they depart from the first three in like every meaningful way. The characters who are involved, the themes they're trying to explore, the way they try to get at it, it's like an entirely different series almost. The writing style is the same because it's the same author, but other than that, the fourth one is pretty bad, and the fifth one is shaping up to be pretty racist. New day, new outfit. I just finished Twin Peaks also. Twin Peaks everyone's right. It's one of the greatest shows of all time. It's amazing. It's so good. I watched the whole thing in like 2 weeks. I kind of think you guys will hate it though. I think you would kind of call it pretentious nonsense. It's like one of those things that I really like, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to. Although, I don't know, the whole thing is also very much based on your subjective experience of it. Like, I thought it was terrifying and I'm probably never gonna sleep again, but also at the same time genuinely affecting in a lot of scenes, like just emotionally on terms of like a drama level. Like a lot of it's half high school drama, half like murder mystery, half like police thriller. It's bizarre. But then that seriousness and intensity is like undercut the whole time by like this weird sense that something's wrong that you can't quite shake the whole time. And like obviously that doesn't quite work if you don't feel like something's wrong, if that just doesn't resonate with you. It's one of those things like if you just don't think that Interesting Ball is good, you're just not going to think it's good, and that's fine. But for my part, it made my skin crawl in a very special way that not much else has been able to do before. So, full endorsement from me. Finished it just in time to watch the season 3 premiere on May 21st, 29 years later. What? That's a real thing, I swear to God. The same creative team and everything. This was the plan from the beginning. The season 3 comes out 25 years after season 2. Like, they just decided to do that. That's insane and also cool. P.S. I don't really have anything to respond to, so, bye.